And at number 10, Surtur. Sure, yeah, he's likely more powerful than some of the other demons who will land on the higher spots on our list, but this is about ranking scary, my friends, and we all saw this demon in Thor Ragnarok, and yeah, he was powerful, but he was not scary. He made me giggle. That aside though, let's take a look at Surtur from the comics. First appearing in Journey into Mystery issue 97 in 1963, this demon isn't just a mystical baddie with the power of 1,000 blazing suns, which yes, that is pretty horrific in itself. He's also over 1,000 feet tall, he's a fire giant from an extra-dimensional plane that's known as the Land of Fire Demons, and his power is of apocalyptic proportions. Aside from manipulating fire and generating intense heat, Surtur also has the ability to manipulate on a molecular level, transforming his fingers into serpents, as seen in Journey into Mystery issue 99. He also derives from Norse mythology, prominently being a figure during Ragnarok, in which the flames he brings forth engulf the earth. So yeah, no thank you. Would rather not die in a fiery hell. In at number 9, Mephisto. Like Surtur, Mephisto is arguably one of the more powerful demons kicking around the Marvel Universe, and if this were a top 10 powerful demons list, he would definitely find himself in the top half. But in terms of being scary, while Mephisto does fit the bill, he suffers from two factors. The first is that out of all of the demons on our list, he is the most human looking. Second, we've been desensitized to the character, with him being one of the most commonly appearing demons in Marvel's panels. Sure, he wields terrifying power, but unlike some of his other nefarious peers, he is much less mysterious to us. Mephisto first appeared in the Silver Surfer issue 3 in 1968, a foe for Galactus' Herald and the Cosmic Hero, and a tempter, who, according to Mike Conroy, I quote, could offer the endlessly soul-tormented Silver Surfer the world. Now this immortal demon has been a perennial antagonist in the Marvel Universe since, capturing and hiding souls, posing as Satan, and generally just being And similar to our previous number, Mephisto also derives from another fictional historical figure, Mephistopheles, a demon hailing from Faust legend in German folklore, and is a devil who makes deals with Faust for the price of the mortal soul. And at number 8, Kalume. Kalume is a lesser known demon compared to the others on our list, yet he is still a terrifying creature. Just look at him. Worshipped by the cult of Kalume for centuries, he is a demon who looks like a humanoid goat. He first appeared in Dead of Night issue 11 in 1975, which was also the debut of his biggest foe, Scarecrow, not to be confused with DC's Scarecrow that is. He also goes by the name Strawman. Strawman is the reason why Kalume only has one horn. He ripped it from the monster's head and then sealed the dimensional gateway between the two realms behind an oil painting, trapping Kalume. Unlike the other demons on our list, the full extent of Kalume's power is still pretty unknown, but he is the lord of an extra-dimensional realm and had enough power to take over the Earth, although those powers were severely limited on our planet since he couldn't fully access it. You know, the whole dimensional rift thing. Portals, yay. That being said, he could use his abilities to grant power to others and send demons to Earth on occasion. So who knows what he could have done if he had had his full range of powers at his disposal during his comic appearances. We don't even fully know if Kalume is still kicking out there. Strawman would later inform Doctor Strange that he succeeded in destroying the demon, but there is nothing but Strawman's own word to confirm whether or not the demon is actually gone. So who knows, maybe he might pop up again in the future. And at number 7, Nightmare. Nightmare is like Marvel's Freddy Krueger, but minus the camp and knives for fingers. Nightmare is the ruler of a dream dimension, and is a fear lord. In this dream dimension, he torments humans who have found themselves there while they sleep. He is pretty whack. Nightmare imprisons humans in his dimension and even tormented Doctor Strange when Doctor Strange forgot to recite a spell before he went to bed. And if that wasn't scary enough, Nightmare rides around in his dream dimension on a demonic black horned horse, who is named Dreamstalker. How beautiful. He has the ability to draw power from the psychic energies of the subconscious minds of dreaming beings. And he has nigh omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence. So all in all, Nightmare is not a demon you want to screw with. Moving on to number 6, Dweller in Darkness. Dweller in Darkness first appeared in Doctor Strange issue 30 in 1978, although had been mentioned in Marvel lore a handful of years earlier in Thor issue 229 in 1974. Now this immortal demon is capable of some fear-inducing abilities. Actually, Dweller can generate fear in other living beings, which in turn empowers and sustains him. In addition to that, he can create sentient creatures out of fear, he can turn deceased humans into shadow thralls, and he does not age. But here's where it gets really creepy. The Dweller became the demon he is thanks to the Way of the Shamblu, a ritual that involved the Dweller removing his own head from his body. His body died, but his head lives on as a corporeal being. It uses a robotic body, in case you were wondering. And at number 5, Zarathos. If you are a fan of Ghost Rider, Zarathos is a name that will be more than familiar to you. Zarathos first appeared in Marvel Spotlight issue 5 in 1972. In a 1973 Ghost Rider comic, the immortal demon was given a more embellished backstory in which the physical stone body of Zarathos had long laid underground until a Native American tribal sorcerer summoned him in order to help his tribe. Now if Zarathos helped them, the demon would be given a steady supply of souls to consume. He was down. The more souls he consumes, the more powerful he becomes. Now because of this relationship, a cult forms following the demon, which then catches the attention of our man Mephisto. Mephisto's all like, dude, no one should get more attention than me, and gets into a brawl with the demon, who then loses and ends up having to serve Mephisto. Zarathos is forced to spend his time in the netherworld, which is kinda like hell, with the exception of being bonded to humans in order to ravage souls, so he can go up on Earth. Here's where Ghost Rider comes in. Now Zarathos' strength and power is typically likened to Mephisto's, with the latter being just a little bit stronger than he is. He can control the elements on Earth and likes to trap his opponents by having the ground itself engulf them. He also likes to create rock spikes in order to impale people. What a fun guy. Moving on to number 4, Set. Set is the first elder god of Earth on our list today. He is an incredibly powerful ethereal being with vast cosmic powers. Set may have been spawned over 4 billion years ago, but he was first mentioned in Marvel's comics in 1971, in Conan the Barbarian issue 7, and then fully appeared in 1976's Marvel Feature Volume 2 issue 6. Was that right? Yes it was. He is limited only by his inability to leave the pocket dimension in which he resides. Sorcerers are able to call upon him for power though, and individuals wearing the serpent crown can also be endowed with some of his power, which ranges from levitation to mind control. Except be wary, Set would often taint the minds of those who are under his influence, controlling their minds to an extent. But here is where things get whacked. Way back when, Set discovered that if he ate his brethren gods, his own power would increase, so he became the first ever murderer. But because of this, he began to degenerate into a demon. And he started a trend with other elder gods committing the same act and also becoming demons themselves. More on that later though. Moving on to number 3, we have Dormammu. Dormammu is one of the first demons that come to mind when you think of demonic individuals lurking around the Marvel Universe. Created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko in 1964, his first appearance was in Strange Tales issue 126. Now Dormammu is often considered to be one of Doctor Strange's most prominent foes, or as Strange calls it, his most terrible foe. He is also one of the universe's most powerful mystical entities. Why is that? Well, it's because he is composed of mystical energy that can be used to achieve pretty much anything. We are talking matter manipulation, energy projection, teleportation, possession, necromancy, resizing, bestowing a power, or creating other demons. That's a lot of scary shit. He's empowered by the worship of his followers, and while he's strongest in his home of the Dark Dimension, there have been times in the past where he's neared an almost multiversal scale of influence. Yeah, that is pretty terrifying. Imagine if he was real. I would be pooping myself with fear. Up next in our number 2 spot, Shuma-Gorath. Shuma-Gorath is known as the Lord of Chaos. Ooh, fun. First appearing in Marvel Premiere issue 5 in 1972, this demon's name was taken from a short story by Robert E. Howard, titled The Curse of the Golden Skull, that featured a dying magician who used the ironbound books of Shuma-Gorath to curse humanity. As such, this demon in the Marvel Universe is a curse to humanity. Having ruled over the world, it demanded human sacrifice before it was eventually banished by a time traveler. More recently, in the 2013 Infinity Story arc, we saw Ebony Maw of the Black Order manipulate Doctor Strange to summon Shuma-Gorath, to New York City of course, which as you can imagine did not go over well. So what's so horrific about this demon minus its aesthetic? Well, it is an ancient force of chaos, nigh invisible, and is a godlike ruler of over 100 different alternate universes. It can imitate the magic of others, it can alter reality, shapeshift, teleport, project energy, and much more. And worst of all, it can automatically destroy multiple galaxies via aura pressure alone. What the f***? As stated in Strange Tales Volume 2, Issue 14. Yikes. And finally at number 1, Chthon. Chthon is another elder god with vast cosmic abilities. And by vast, well, we mean he might arguably be the strongest, most powerful demon in the Marvel multiverse. Similar to Set, he degenerated into a demon the more that he killed, with his desire for power being absolutely ceaseless. He is responsible for creating many a demon and is often depicted as the ultimate primal evil in the universe. Chthon, who gives us major Cthulhu vibes, first appeared in Marvel Chillers issue 1 in 1975, where he was simply called The Other. He wouldn't get a name until Avengers issue 186 in 1979. Devoted to the study and manipulation of mystical energies, Chthon would become Earth's first master of black magic, and even experimented on his fellow gods. The only one to really oppose him, and to protect us, is Gaia, the Earth goddess and one of the only elder gods who did not fall into corruption to gain power. But having immense foresight, knowing Gaia would bring about an end to his freedom, he had written all of his spells and worked down on indestructible parchment, which would eventually become the Darkhold, the Earth's first tome of black magic, and a gateway for Chthon to eventually return. After being defeated and exiled, he resides in his own dimension, spawning a race of demons capable of returning to Earth, even though he himself couldn't. Now these days he tends to possess characters in the Marvel Universe from Scarlet Witch to Quicksilver, with Wanda actually having to endure that twice. Luckily Doctor Strange helped her out and freed her from the demon's influence that last time that had happened during Secret Empire. Fun stuff.
At number 10, Lady Death. Lady Death was originally a mortal named Hope, who decided to make a deal with a demon so she wouldn't be burned at the stake. She then became a powerful queen of hell, although if you thought she'd be evil because of that, you would be wrong. Hope instead became a hero of sorts. Also, if you didn't guess, she became extremely powerful. Her powers include telekinesis, weather control, flight, spell casting, necromancy, teleportation, and, she's basically invulnerable. Number 9. Etrigan the Demon. Etrigan is a demon who is bound to the human Jason blood. He was summoned by Merlin, who was trying to learn all of his, demon secrets. But when he couldn't, he just decided to bond the demon with a human, Jason Blood. Now, bonded with a demon, Jason became immortal and now lives in the modern era. Even though the two have clashed over the years, they decided to use their partnership to fight for the side of good. Although, Jason, and Etrigan have been known to dabble with the dark side every now and again. Of course, because he's a demon, he's very enhanced with strength, speed, hellfire projection, sorcery, immortality, and all that fun stuff. Number 8. Blue Devil. Dan Cassidy was the stuntman and special effects artist and got hired to play the main character in a movie called Blue Devil. He was tasked with creating an outfit for the character. It was made out of Kevlar, so it was really strong and durable. But the movie required, you guessed it, a lot of stunts. During the shoot, Dan was in the suit doing a scene when they accidentally released a real demon, and, eventually they managed to send the demon back to where it came from, but not before it shot a blast of demonic energy. After trying to, take the suit off, he realized it was now permanently part of him. Not officially a demon at first, Dan actually became one later after being defeated by Nekron in Hell. Dan later decided to use his powers to help people, and his powers include strength, speed, durability, healing, and enhanced senses. Number 7. Damien Hellstrom. Known as the hero Hellstrom, he is the son of Victoria Hellstrom and the demon lord Satan. The Hellstrom family had a long history of worshipping the devil, and eventually Victoria took that to the next level and actually had a child with Satan. Victoria ran a cult called the Chapel of Dresden, whose goal was to have a demonic child who would eventually take over the earth. At first it looked like Damien lived a fairly normal life, but he really didn't. Like, instead of feeding him normal baby formula as a kid, his mom fed him human blood. His mother was later placed in an insane asylum, and Damien and his sister were separated and raised by different families. It was only as he got older and his mother passed away that Damien found out about his real father. Damien eventually began to harness his abilities and became one of the most powerful magic users in the Marvel Universe. Doctor Strange even thought of passing the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme onto him once. He eventually took on the name of Hellstrom and became the ruler of Hell, but still fights for the good side. His powers include strength, spellcasting, durability, and he can cast Hellfire from his trident. Number 6. Lucifer Morningstar. Okay, so Lucifer isn't really like a superhero, more of an anti-hero. And he doesn't always do good things, but, he has, and that's why he's on the list. Lucifer was an angel who rebelled against the kingdom of heaven and was sent to rule hell by the presence. He ruled there for billions of years until one day he just became bored with it and decided to leave hell and move to Los Angeles. He went on to run a piano bar called Lux. But, being the ruler of hell for over 10 billion years, you make a lot of enemies. So people will decide to come after him, and he needs to fend them off. Being the devil gives him numerous abilities including flight, hellfire, manipulation, healing, strength, and yeah, he's immortal. So number 5. Raven. Raven is the daughter of the demon Trigon. Raven was raised in a dimension called Azarath, and she was taught to control her emotions by Azar. So, she could control by Azar. Later, when she was back on Earth, she found out that her father Trigon was coming for her and prepared to stop him. She went to the Justice League for help, but unfortunately, they refused because Zatanna sensed her demon ancestry and said that, she couldn't be trusted. This led Raven to be one of the founding members of the group known as the Teen Titans. The Titans defeated Trigon, but he wasn't gone for good, they never are, and he was always trying to secretly influence Raven and eventually returned again. Because of her demon heritage, Raven is extremely powerful. Her powers include astral projection, flight, telekinesis, teleportation, empathy, darkness manipulation, and she can cast magic spells. Number 4, Constantine. Okay, so while he's not technically a full demon, he did have demon blood flowing through him for a very long time, so that's why he's on the list. And that's probably why he's not number 1. If he was like a full demon, he would be number 1 because he's just awesome. John Constantine, and yes, I know technically it's pronounced Constantine in the original source material. The pronunciation of Constantine has become way more popular, and it's been used for almost all of his live action and animated appearances, so I'm just using that, and also it just sounds so much cooler. Constantine, like come on. Okay, so John Constantine is a magic using con man. He was born in Liverpool and grew up in London. His mother died during childbirth, and his father blamed him for it. John is a master of the dark arts, having practiced his whole life. He can cast spells, summon demons, travel to different dimensions, and all of that fun stuff. He also smokes, like a lot. And he says whatever he wants, which tends to make a lot of people hate him. But that's why we love him. Number 3, Spawn. Spawn, originally known as Al Simmons, was a highly trained soldier. He worked for the United States Marine Corps, the Secret Service, and the CIA. And while on a mission for the CIA, Al was murdered by his friend Bruce. And who gave the order? Well, it was none other than the CIA director Jason Wynn. Then Al got sent to hell because, he killed a lot of people over his time, and decided, hey, I'm gonna make a deal so I can go up and see my wife again, Wanda. Well, of course, things don't go exactly as planned when you make a deal in hell. So he returns to Earth, but now as a hell spawn. He doesn't really remember a lot, and he looks completely different. He does eventually manage to remember his wife, and he goes to see her. Turns out 5 years have passed, and she's remarried and has a kid. So now he's just forced to do the bidding of a demon from hell. He goes after really dangerous people and other supernatural creatures. His powers include strength, durability, and his symbiotic suit, which protects him. Number 2, Hellboy. Hellboy was found as a baby in 1944 by US soldiers. He was then later raised by Professor Trevor Brutenholm, and as he got older, he went to work for the BPRD, the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense. Since then, he has devoted his life to fight the paranormal. It was also later revealed that he was born to actually summon the apocalypse, but he had other plans. And due to his demon heritage, Hellboy is a lot stronger than the average human. He has enhanced strength, accelerated healing, and he ages really slowly. Plus, he also has his trusty right hand of doom, which can do an insane amount of damage, and his handgun, the Good Samaritan. And number 1, Ghost Rider. Oh, Ghost Rider, the spirit of vengeance. He has been linked to multiple people throughout the years, but today I'm going to talk about the most famous one, Johnny Blaze. Johnny Blaze was a motorcycle stuntman who ended up making you guessed it, a deal with Mephisto to save his surrogate father, Crash Simpson, from dying of cancer. Man, people need to stop making deals with demons and devils. It always goes badly. Always. Mephisto cured Crash and told Johnny that one day he would come back and collect. Later on, Crash attempted an insane motorcycle stunt, trying to jump over 22 cars. Crash died attempting the stunt. After that, Mephisto showed up to collect what he was owed. Johnny then was like, hey, why'd you double-cross me? And Mephisto was like, no, I cured your surrogate father of cancer, and that was the deal. Because of the deal, Johnny Blaze now becomes the Ghost Rider. Every night, he would transform and punish the wicked. When he transforms, he becomes one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel Universe. His powers include super strength, stamina, durability, healing, hellfire manipulation, and the penance stare, which is when he makes someone stare into his eyes and makes them experience all the pain that they have ever caused to someone else. Creepy.
And at 10, Dormammu. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Although he had been mentioned several times in dialogue along with his realm, the Dark Dimension, he only made his first appearance in Strange Tales number 126 and 127 in 1964. While Strange had been battling one-off mystic threats prior to this, Dormammu became a recurring villain for the character and a threat unlike they had ever faced before. He started with a starring role in a 15-issue storyline in Strange Tales number 131 to 146, and has made several appearances in other series like The Avengers, Defenders, Defenders, Thor, and Hellcat. He also appeared in the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s and can be seen in the Venom saga, where he returns Venom as symbiote and creates Carnage in order to help him escape the Dark Dimension. But thanks to Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Venom teaming up, he was sent back along with Carnage and Venom. He didn't make his silver screen debut until 2016 in Doctor Strange, where he got in an eternal struggle with Strange until he was ready to leave Earth alone. Fun fact, Dormammu was actually mocapped by Cucumber Patch and voiced by a mix of him and another unnamed British actor. And if you don't consider him a demon, you don't remember him being a former Lord of Hell. Yeah, it's a thing. And at 9, Nightmerica. You enjoyed the last time I brought characters in that weren't just from comics, so I figured I'd do the same here with Nightmerica. This female demon ghost is from my favorite childhood show that ended too soon, Danny Phantom, and is a parody of the Nightmare on Elm Street character Freddy Krueger. Originally she was just a movie character inside the Danny Phantom universe, until Danny and Tugger decided to head to another girl's party instead of going to the movies with their best friend Sam like they said. When Sam figures out what happened, she wishes for something to happen to the other girl named Pauline. When the ghost known as Desiree overhears Sam's wish, she brings Nightmerica to life along with 2 other ghosts in order to kill Paulina. She has the typical set of ghost powers: flight, invisibility, intangibility, and possesses supernatural strength, being able to throw someone across the room. She resembles Freddy Krueger but with green hair and claws because she's a ghost, you know? Her only other appearance is in the episode called Phantom Planet, the series finale, where she, spoiler alert, helps in turning the planet intangible to prevent a meteor that ghosts aren't able to touch go through the planet in order for the planet to be saved, since the ghost zone and our world are linked. God, I missed that show. Hashtag go ghost again. And at 8, Mephisto. Based on a demon from the Legend of Faust, Mephisto first appeared in the Silver Surfer #3 in the Silver Age. The character made his silver screen appearance in 2007's Ghost Rider starring Nicolas Cage. Mephisto has been responsible for many an evil act in the Marvel Universe, including capturing the soul of Doctor Doom's mother, creating the Ghost Rider, which may not be considered evil even though he was posed as Satan, and even was Thanos' servant during the War of the Gems, but instead looking to gain that power for himself. He also managed to capture the soul of the Richards family, including Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and their son Franklin Richards, who is basically a god. But he's also gone on a date with New Mutants member Magma, because apparently the force that created him also gave him emotions and desires, and we all know what that means. He wants to occasionally do human things. He was also summoned by Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock inside Peter Parker's body, to get him to stop Spider-Man of Earth 44145. But as Mephisto replies, "Sorry, that's out of my jurisdiction." And at 7, Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Pennywise, also known as It, is the main antagonist of Stephen King's novel It. Pennywise is a form of ancient cosmic evil that is also considered a demon by many, that preys on the children of Derry, Maine, since they're the only ones who can see him, roughly every 27 years or so. He has a wide array of powers, including but not limited to shape-shifting, going unnoticed by adults, bending reality, teleportation, and manipulation of objects and humans. In the novel, he starts his killing spree by taking the life of Georgie, the younger brother of protagonist Bill. The character is always watching his prey, appearing several times in the background of both parts of the new movies. Pennywise was created when King asked himself what scares children the most, the answer being clowns. So he created one who was similar to the troll in the Children's Tale 3 Billy Goat's Gruff, but who inhabited a sewer system. There is no other explanation needed for this character, as I'm sure we all know who Pennywise is, and he definitely deserves to be on this list. Definitely a demon. And at 6, Surtur. Surtur is a fire giant based on Surtur from Norse mythology. Surtur is a native to the land of fire demons whose name I won't even try to pronounce. He first appeared briefly in Journey into Mystery number 97 in 1963, but this was only to set him up, as his first proper appearance was in Journey into Mystery number 99 that same year. The character made his silver screen appearance in Thor Ragnarok, where he was prophesied to be the destruction of Asgard, where Thor just laughs in his face and then takes his crown to the trophy room of Asgard, only to set him loose to fulfill the prophecy in the climax of the movie in order to defeat Hela, the goddess of death, and his sister. But as Korg says, as long as the foundations are strong, we can rebuild this place. But oh no, those foundations are gone. That was a terrible Korg voice, but whatever. The fiery demon stands at over 1,000 feet tall and has power of apocalyptic proportions, surpassing those of Thor. Generating heat or near concussive force is like playing with a baby to him. He has the ability to transform his fingers into serpents, levitate, and travel through dimensions. He's on the same level as Odin, a skilled swordsman and warrior, and that tail is something to marvel. No pun intended. But I guess I left it in the script, so pun intended? And at 5, Azazel. There are multiple Azazels that can be considered supervillains. There is the Marvel version, who first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 428, who is the father to Nightcrawler, who is the member of the, sorry if I butcher this, Nephim, an ancient race of demonic mutants who were at constant war with their angelic counterparts. Azazel was in fact their leader, and has the powers of teleportation, shapeshifting, superhuman agility, night vision and an advanced healing factor, immortality, telepathy, hypnosis, dark arts mastery, and sword combat mastery. These are incredible abilities, but if you're looking for a literal demon, look no further than the television show Supernatural. At first referred to as Yellow Eyes or the Yellow-Eyed Demon, Azazel is literally a demon and is the reason the whole show began. This demon killed the main character's mother, hence why the family started hunting the supernatural. Oh, I get it. He also ended up killing Sam's girlfriend, causing him to join Jean on his hunt to find their father. He was the driving force behind the first 2 seasons of the show, spoiler alert, meeting his end in the season 2 finale with the use of the Colt, a specially designed gun to kill anything with the use of special bullets, which was the only weapon they had to kill demons at that point. And at 4, Satan. Lucifer Morningstar is one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. While DC has had various depictions of the fallen angel, this interpretation debuted in The Sandman Volume 2 number 4 in 1989. The later Lucifer spin-off would have him adventuring on Earth, heaven, and other realms of his family's creation and in uncreated voids after abandoning Hell and the Sandman. He would also later appear in The Demon, The Spectre, and other DC comics. After his abandoning of Hell, others have taken his place. 2 angels, for example, even a human, and somehow even Superman had a brief rule over Hell. Lucifer made his first on-screen appearance in the Constantine film in 2005, but more recently in the Lucifer show, where he has made an appearance as the devil in the CW crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he grants Constantine, John Diggle, and Mia Smoke Queen, Oliver Queen's daughter from the future, the ability to go into purgatory and retrieve Oliver's soul to return it to his body after his death. This also confirmed that the series takes place on Earth 666, which if it hadn't of, I would have been livid and I would have started a riot, just saying. And at 3, Blackheart. The technical son of Mephisto, Blackheart was under his father's tutelage when he learned what not to do, and that he should be doing it anyway. He even took on the Daredevil and Spider-Man but failed to corrupt them. But Blackheart wasn't happy being a Prince of Hell. He decided he wished to overthrow his father, so in an attempt to get help in doing so, he led Ghost Rider, Punisher, and Wolverine to Christ's Town in an attempt to corrupt them. The 3 heroes ended up following Blackheart into his dimension for a final confrontation, where Blackheart pitched the idea. He first appeared in Daredevil number 270 in 1989 and has some pretty dope powers, including superhuman strength, speed, durability, telekinesis, telepathy, levitation, interdimensional teleportation, size alteration, regenerative healing, energy generation, soul capturing, which allows him to take the soul without needing permission, which is wrong. Coming from a ginger, always take souls with consent. He also has mind control, immortality, and penance stare immunity, so Ghost Rider can't really do that much to Blackheart. Jesus, this guy's pretty damn powerful. But again, take souls with consent. Penultimately at number 2, Lord Loss. Doing something a little different here. Lord Loss is a demon master and main antagonist of the book series The Demonata by Darren Shan. These books are incredible, and if you like demons, which you clearly do because you're still watching this, I highly suggest you read it. These books were everything to me from grade 10 onwards. Anyway, he is the only character to appear in all 10 books of the series, not necessarily present, but he's at least mentioned. And his appearance is that of nightmares. Pale red lumpy skin covers his body with 8 mangled arms and no heart. Instead, a hole filled with tiny venomous snakes. He has dark red eyes and even darker pupils. He doesn't walk. He floats above the ground with strips of bloody flesh hanging from where his feet should be. His skin is cracked all over and blood seeps through these cracks. He enjoys chess, even plays it for sport with humans who are infected with lycanthropy. If they win, he will cure one member of the family, but if they lose, he will torture them for very long periods of time due to the fact that he feeds on the suffering of humans. Therefore, isn't interested in mindless killing like other demons. At first, I pictured this demon wearing a suit. I don't know why, I just wanted to. But ever since seeing drawings of the character, I'm surprised I wasn't scared to death by these books. They're incredible. My favorite 2 are the 2nd and 3rd, Demon Thief and Slaughter. Again, highly suggest you read these books because they're amazing and extremely well written. God, do it. Finally, in at number 1, Shuma-Gorath. Shuma-Gorath's first appearance was in Marvel Premiere number 5 in 1972. His name was taken from the short story The Curse of the Golden Skull by Robert E. Howard, which features a dying magician invoking the iron-bound books of Shuma-Gorath in a curse against humanity. Fun! His powers include energy projection, reality manipulation, shape-shifting, levitation, teleportation, magical powers, and immortality. With the amount of people with immortality on this list, we could make a whole other list about demons who can't die. Shuma-Gorath is one of the most powerful ancient demons to ever exist. Even Dormammu and Mephisto have said he is superior to them. The demon has unmatched power and was even once the ruler of Earth, until a time-traveling sorcerer managed to banish him. He even managed to beat Doctor Strange, causing him to kill the Ancient One. This ultra-powerful demon has rarely been defeated, and that is definitely deserving of the number 1 spot.
In at number 10, Hellcat. Hellcat, aka Patsy Walker, hooked up with the son of Satan once upon a time. Damien Hellstrom and Patsy hit it off as soon as he joined the Defenders, and the two fell in love. Damon was into Patsy because she made him feel loved just by being herself, and helped him become more of, I quote, a son of man than a son of Satan. Oh. And what did Patsy get out of this? Well, she thought he was super hot. Just, oh damn, look at that Satan symbol on his chest. That's what Patsy was probably thinking. This got even weirder when Satan decided he would try to convince the hero that she was his daughter in Defenders issue 111 from 1982. Incestual stuff. Now, despite that strange blip, Patsy and Damon actually got married in Defenders issue 125, which caused Damon to lose his dark soul and become human, which incidentally also killed him. This led to Patsy attempting to save him in Hellstrom, Son of Satan, issue 12, retrieving his dark soul and making Damon a demon again. And it gets weird for them yet again, because after seeing Damon's true form, Patsy couldn't deal and she killed herself. She'd return eventually, as all comic book characters do, except for Uncle Ben. And in Marvel Divas issue 1-4, Damon reappears to Patsy after she's published a tell-all book about her life, and offers to heal her friend Firestar's cancer in exchange for Patsy's soul. And really, it's all just a narcissistic ruse to Damon, who is just pissed off that he was barely mentioned in Patsy's book. So, yeah. Narcissism goes hand in hand with demonic sex. In at number 9, Buffy. Vampires are considered pretty damn demonic in the Buffyverse, and Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, has hooked up with not just one, but 2 vampires, having complicated romantic relationships with Angelus, aka Angel, and Spike over the course of 7 seasons of the TV series, which now continues the story in its comic books. Buffy began a relationship with Angel in the first season of the show, which would implode in the second season when his soul was removed and he reverted back to his homicidal sadistic ways. Being the big bad of that season, the two of them split up and Angel ran off to LA to start his very own television spin-off, while the two were still kind of always each other's OTP, or as far as Sarah Michelle Gellar is concerned, and also myself. Spike, who was initially supposed to be a one-off villain, ended up sticking around for later seasons of Buffy, and the two began a romance. Spike was tormented by the fact that he had fallen in unrequited love with the Slayer, and after Buffy died and was brought back to life and suffered through a very traumatic season 6, the two would eventually kiss. But it was a pretty toxic relationship, and Spike once sexually assaulted the Slayer, so no bueno. In the end, he sacrificed himself for the greater good, finding himself on Angel's TV show after Buffy's series ended. Plus, her pal Xander was also in a long-term relationship with a demon named Anya, so the whole series just has a whole lot of intermingling when it comes to the supernatural and who gets you off. Willow's a witch. It's really just a metaphor for being gay. And at number 8, Deadpool and 2 people actually for this one, Shikla and Satana. So we have our first double offender here on our list. Yes, there are more. Deadpool hasn't hooked up with just one demon, but 2. Let's start off with another child of Satan's, the creatively named Satana, who Deadpool saved from the results of a high-stakes poker game with 5 geeky dudes. It turns out these geeky dudes are actually some bigwigs in the demonic world. Specifically, they are Dormammu, Lucifer, Mephisto, and 2 other guys, who wanted to marry the succubus daughter of Satan in order to become the heir to hell. Now, Satana lost her soul in said poker game, having to be married to the demon who won, until Deadpool stepped in and married her first. In exchange, she endowed him with powers that let him defeat these demons, causing them to retreat. Satana immediately broke it off with the Merc with a Mouth though, keeping half of his soul as part of their divorce. She wasn't the only demon that he's married though. Deadpool had an on and off again relationship with the demon Shikla, who he had been paid to go and fetch after her father had put her in stasis as a means of keeping her safe from Dracula. They got married, but after a bunch of issues arose in their relationship, Shikla would do the unthinkable and ditch DP for the last man that her dad wanted her shacking up with, Dracula himself. It's fine, Deadpool's really in love with Mistress Death, so it's all good. In at number 7, Zatanna and Constantine. So, Constantine classifies as part demon. He once got a blood transfusion from the demon lord Nergal. Nergal is a demon, which is enough to classify him as a demon half in this pairing. Now, when Zatanna first hit the scene, many of her adventures consisted of trying to find her birth father. This quest led her to the Justice League of America, further colliding her with other heroes, including Constantine. Now, After she found Daddy Dearest, her and John would have an on and off again affair while he was dating one of his other love interests, Emma. This affair would always be complicated by the fact that Constantine was somewhat responsible for her father's death, having been the one who organized a seance in which her dad sacrificed himself to protect her. The romance would continue to be explored after the New 52 relaunch in the Justice League Dark, with the two of them being exes but on good and civil terms. And we'll be talking about some other demonic love interests of Constantine later on in our list, where he is actually the more human half. But for now, on to our next number. In at 6, my personal favorite, Mephisto and Rogue. Oh, this pairing kills me. It is so absurd and so weird, and of course it's Rogue. Remember when she shacked up with Magneto for a hot second in the 616 and then for a long minute in the Age of Apocalypse timeline? Yeah, girls got some interesting taste in love interests, and also a thing for dudes with the letter M as their first initial. But not Gambit, he doesn't count. Once upon a time, there was a fun little miniseries called Mephisto vs. the Marvel Universe, and in it, he was all about collecting those hot female superhero souls for his lonesome self. He hit up the Invisible Woman first, then Jean Grey, and then by the 3rd issue, he had his sights set on Rogue. Rogue's thoughts during this brief entanglement consists of her debating about whether or not she's feeling this demonic makeout. She goes through an emotional roller coaster, stating that her mind is blown by the fact that she's able to touch someone and kiss someone, but then she is triggered by the fact that it is with, I quote, a creature like Mephisto. She then gets freaked out by the fact that he is old, or as she puts it, so incredibly old. Now after they kiss, Rogue is almost mean about it, saying, I quote, "You're like me. No one ever wants to touch you, to know you. Only with you, it's like 100,000 times worse." She's basically like, oh man, my life sucks, but yours is so much worse, dude. Like, you're way more lonely than I am. And he legit responds with, bah, spare me your pity, as if he's like not hurt by it. She's so mean. Rogue then Nancy Drews his MO of taking souls as a substitute for real contact, and then she makes it about her, so he macks her some more to get her to shut up. Problematic storylines, gotta love them, but it's a demon. Anyway, long story short, Rogue absorbs his soul collecting abilities, and then he tries to use her in the 4th issue to steal Thor's soul, and then it's revealed that this was all just a convoluted scheme to screw around with Hela. Yeah. And also apparently to get some. Moving on to number 5, we have Luke Cage and Silver Sable, and Priapus. Okay, so here's a slightly odd addition to our list, and one that was done without consent, making it particularly nasty in retrospect. Consent matters. Seriously, jokes aside. Anyway, back to the silliness. It involves the demon Priapus, like I mentioned, who first graced the pages of Marvel's comics in 1993 in Terror Inc. issue 10. He is the Greek god of male fertility and horticulture. He is also a demon who is said to be very physically endowed, yet horribly ugly. A walking paradox. I'll let y'all make that call for yourselves though. He also claims that ecstasy is his life, so that's a thing apparently. In 1993, the two heroes alongside Terror fought against Priapus in a crossover story called Cage, for Love Nor Money. During the battle, Priapus incapacitates both Cage and Sable with orgasms. He does this by kissing Sable and then touching Cage on the head, and then gives him this whole long dry speech while they're just shaking there dealing with these allegedly mind-blowing orgasms. Can't even make this up, guys. In at number 4, Mystique and Azazel. X-Men member Nightcrawler is the product of a mutant and a demon rubbing nasties. Mystique, his biological mother, who is blue and has shape-shifting abilities, hooks up with Azazel after developing a crush on the Naya Femme. In Uncanny X-Men issue 428, Mystique, who wants to get married to the demon, learns the hard way that sometimes dudes just want a one-night stand with a blue mutant inside of a church. In the aftermath, Azazel is all like, girl, never confuse physical passion for a condition of the heart. Since the dawn of mankind, the two have rarely gone hand in hand. She's like, yeah, whoa. But also still like really upset about it because she does like kind of love him. He's just like the ultimate demon boy. He also impregnates her with Nightcrawler, who she is forced to abandon in order to save from an angry mob. But Azazel's like, yo, I'ma save you and then give you to my sister and then everything is dope. He did that too. He's hip, he is with the kids. And at number 3, Etrigan and Lady Xanadu and Lady Blaze. Etrigan loves the ladies. He is also another double whammy on our list. So for starters, Etrigan is Jason Blood, a mortal man bound to the demon Etrigan, meaning they share their love interests, which sometimes gets complicated. In Batman the Dark Knight issues 4 and 5 back in 2011, Etrigan makes an appearance when hunting down a demon running rampant in Gotham. Turns out this demon is a servant of Lady Blaze's, who then strikes up a deal with Etrigan to fully restore his power in exchange for him being her consort. Jason Blood is like, nah man, I'm good. Like, this chick's a demon, I think I'm going to pass. But Etrigan is like, yes please, and overpowers Jason. Etrigan eventually realizes that Blaze is lying in order to take advantage of him. drop. It's not gonna get some demon boy. And then there's the R-rated romance of Etrigan and Lady Xanadu. Xanadu has a polymorphous, polyamorous relationship with Etrigan, which she gives us insight on in Demon Knights issue 8 from 2012. She agrees to be with Jason, wanting to marry him, but Etrigan wants to ensure that he is getting some action too. He states that he wants to mate with Xanadu over a long period of time, and often. Xanadu goes along with it, lying to the demon, admitting that she likes to, I you not, cuckold Etrigan. Sorry kids. It's nasty. In at number 2, Constantine and a lot of other demons. Zatanna is definitely one of Constantine's higher quality hookups compared to some of the other individuals in the DC universe that he's knocked dirties with. And by quality, I mean she is human, or rather a metahuman, but that's still totally fine. She's got all the normal human bodily bits that you would expect a human being to have. But Constantine, oh, he has a variety of preferences. Yes, he does. He's hooked up with a succubus named Ellie plenty of times. Ellie's true form involves very aggressive nipples and this demonic aesthetic. Fun. He also once helped out a virgin by having sex with her and placing his demonic taint within her so she didn't have to get married to an angel. Ugh, don't you just hate when that happens, when you have to get married to an angel and then you just gotta get romantic with the demon to ensure that you just never go into heaven, or maybe just probably going to hell, and you know, it's tough. Modern dating. But there is a time worse than that for sure. In Hellblazer issue 200 from 2004, Constantine rubbed nasties with a demoness named Rosa Carnus. This occurred when he traded one day of his life in exchange for not being burned at the stake. Seems like a decent deal, right? But nah, she a demon, my dude, so she used her powers to have this day play out in 3 simultaneous possible realities in which they do the nasty and she tries to sire 3 demon messiahs. Now that's talk about a rough one-night stand. There's a lot of demonic seductresses in this, but also like I guess Mephisto was really bad. Gender parity, guys. Any demon can be a terrible demon who wants to have sex with you and ruin your life. And finally, in at number 1, saved the biggest for last, Hulk and Umar. The Hulk has had his fair share of romances, but none is as wacky as his hookup with Umar, the demon sister of the mystical entity Dormammu. She's his little sis. It's kind of hard to imagine him having any family whatsoever, but this is a thing. She also lives in a tower where she like kind of kidnaps the Hulk and then hooks up with him, as seen in Defenders issue 3. And oh boy, at first he wasn't feeling it at all, so like there's some consent issues there, but then wabam. After 6 whole minutes of them doing the dirty, he can't take it. He is so overwhelmed with ecstasy that he can't keep up with her. He even reverts back to Bruce Banner afterwards. Now, keep in mind, almost nothing is capable of reverting Hulk back to Banner. Once upon a time, like the only thing that worked was puppies. So apparently Bruce Banner will not be the Hulk if you give him puppies or mind-blowing sex. Take what you will from that. Umar would make a cameo later on in The Incredible Hulk issue 633 when he was Worldbreaker Hulk. She showed up in a portal that was shaped like a mouth and chilled him out by having sex with him, of course. This time with their banging, forming a giant mushroom cloud in the process. Yeah.
Let's start out at number 10 with Hellboy. Now, technically we don't really know how he's created or got his powers, but he was summoned through a portal from Hell to Earth by a Nazi cult, attempting to tip the scales during World War II in their favor, so, you know, we can assume. Thankfully, their enemies, the Allies, found the red baby before they could get their hands on him and taint him into their evil ways. The Allies decide to call him Hellboy, and then the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, BPRD, is born. One Professor Trevor Bruttenholm spearheads the organization and takes Hellboy under his wing, sort of like a son. He's definitely a father figure to him. On account of being from Hell, he has a few demonic advantages. He has the right hand of doom, this huge stone hand that's great for smashing things. He can lift really heavy things, like over a ton. He heals very quickly, and he's exceptionally hard to hurt. Number 9 is Sebastian Faust. He's the son of an evil magician, Felix Faust, who appeared in Justice League of America in 1962. He taught his son how to harness the power of demons. Later on, his father put his son's soul in a bargain with a demon. This demon's name was Neburos. Sebastian thought it was a mystic rite. Then the demon tricked Felix and gave the power to initiate magic to Sebastian instead, so it worked out for him. And then from then on, he's able to tap into soul magic. As you might imagine, he ends up with quite a lot of powers. He can project magical energy as well as energy shields, he has healing, he can morph, teleport between shadows, tap into people's souls to gain their power, or feed mana from them for casting spells. He can possess people, cast illusions. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's lots of episodes. At number 8, we have another that is the handiwork of Nibiros. His name is the Blue Devil. He started out life as a stuntman named Daniel Cassidy, who was working for the movies and was working on a movie called, you guessed it, Blue Devil. So in it, he wears this exoskeleton suit for the character. It has built-in pyrotechnic devices, and it's really, really cool. He's a top-notch guy, super smart. But then a real devil, the one who gave us his powers, is freed from a temple nearby to where the set is that they're filming. And he gets a hit of demonic energy, a big blast of it, and then it magically bonds the suit to him. But on account of this, he ends up with superhuman strength, durability, agility, healing. The suit basically like repairs itself if he's injured. He gets enhanced hearing, infrared night vision, stronger senses. He has a trident also that he's able to summon and control it through the suit remotely. It even shoots fire. So he ends up with a lot of really cool powers on account of this suit. At number 7, we have Hellstrom, son of Satan. I mean, the full name really does kind of say it all, but let's get into it. So Satan, or the Hell Lord, decides he has wanted a child with a human being for too long. So he's gonna go get some of that human lovin' to gain more power, of course. I mean, as you do as Satan, you want that power. So he goes to, of all places, Massachusetts with a secret identity. He marries a woman, has 3 kids, kind of has the whole thing. And then one of them is Damon, the son of Satan. After his mother dies, he finds out his true birth. Although the pentagram on his chest, I guess, wasn't enough of an idea, he meets up with Dad/Satan, and Satan tries to get him to come to serve him in hell. However, once Satan sends him back to Earth, he decides he's going to fight against his father instead. What a nice guy. But instead of doing it a smart way, you know, like, I don't know, training, or have a training montage, learning his stuff, he just tries to fight him right away and fails. However, he happens to grab some really sweet things on the way out, specifically a satanic trident and a demon horse-drawn chariot before returning to Earth. So now at least he has a sweet ride throughout the issues. He also discovers his dark soul powers inherited from good old Dad. This gives him superhuman strength and the ability to project soul fire from his trident. He can sense the presence of the supernatural and can cast spells to teleport between dimensions as well. At number 6, we have John Constantine. It might be a slight stretch of the title, but hear me out, I have my reasons. He gets his powers from the supernatural, and at one point John's body contained demon blood, which is what allows him to channel magic and cast spells without actually facing the costs of using magic. I think it counts. His origin story is a little all over the place. He experimented with magic at a young age before he realized there was a price to use it. He did a really powerful spell to try to make him a super powerful magician, but it ends up killing his family. So then he kind of dabbles in music off and on with different girlfriends here and there. Sometimes bad things happen. He becomes a rock star. He falls in love with this woman named Veronica, and then he loses her due to a spell gone wrong. And then that turns his focus purely to magic, I guess to try to understand it better, or to try to fight the forces of it. Constantine rarely uses actual magic though, unless he really has to, especially in combat. But he can perform many different acts. To name a few, he can summon demons, he can travel interdimensionally, he can do exorcisms, necromancy, energy projection, like solar energy so that you can like use it against vampires. Blade would love this. He can make illusions to trick people. He can make protective circles, teleportations, telekinesis, invisibility, mind control, etc, etc, etc. It really depends sort of what writer was writing about him at the time. My personal favorite tidbit though is this moon blade. So it's a magical weapon and it changes shape depending on the phase that the moon is in. And when someone is killed by it, their spirit goes into it and then Constantine can kind of call on them. Pretty cool. At number 5, we have magic. Now Magic was born a mutant already. Colossus is her brother. However, she was kidnapped by Belasco, who was an evil sorcerer who worked with the Elder Gods to be granted immortality and all this immense mystical power, which is why he has this super demonic appearance. That's why I think this works. He brings her to Limbo, where he turns part of her soul into a bloodstone, and one of his servants is like constantly beating her and being super mean to her. But his spells give her considerable magic power, like her teleportation discs. Throughout her lifetime, she becomes much more powerful and sort of takes over the place. She ends up being able to have access to both black and white magic. She magically used her life force and eldritch energy to make a soul sword, which can disrupt magic spells. She also has mystical armor, which appears around her, called eldritch armor. It adds horns, a tail, hoofs, giving her a really demonic appearance. She also has an impenetrable sonic shield that telepaths can't get through, and many other powers that have been seen over the years. At number 4, we have Hellcat, who's actually going to tie into one of the ones we already talked about. Patricia, or Patsy Walker, has a normal-ish upbringing, but later on in life meets up with Beast, who is now a member of the Avengers and agrees to help her become a superhero. So during a ride-along mission that she's on, they come across a catsuit worn by Tigra, and she puts on the costume and assumes the identity of Hellcat. Now I know what you're thinking, what does this have to do with demons? Hang tight, number 7, here it comes. So, Hellstrom, son of Satan, they end up meeting and they get married. Eventually though, she's driven mad and she commits suicide, and then her soul gets stuck in hell. There, she has to go through all these gladiator-like combat scenarios, and she also learns to develop her psychic powers, and then Hellstrom eventually tricks Hawkeye into returning her spirit to Earth, and she gets to keep all that demonic power and new skills that she learned while she was there. She has natural athletic abilities already, but develops others through training with different characters like Moondragon, who gives her more martial arts training and enhances her sonic potential, allowing her to use telekinesis abilities and resist mental control, for instance. She gains magical resistance, enhanced strength, speed, agility, endurance, reflexes. I feel like so many superheroes have that, but that's why they're superheroes. She can also summon her costume at will, and it wields retractable claws and grappling hooks from her wrist, so she has a good setup. At number 3, we have Blade, my personal favorite vampire hunter. Ooh, okay, torn with Buffy, but you know. For this one, we're calling vampires demons, which I think isn't really a stretch. As you may already know, Blade's mother was bitten while she was in labor with Blade. She's bitten by Deacon Frost and then dies during the labor. Some vampire enzymes are passed on to Blade, but not all of them. As he grows up, he sort of swores to avenge her by becoming a vampire hunter. Now, because he wasn't turned into a vampire, not actually bitten directly, he has a lot of their powers without having their drawbacks. He can smell supernatural creatures, has a much longer lifespan than your average human, and is immune to the normal vampire bite. And just like many of the heroes on the list, he has superhuman speed, agility, strength, stamina, healing. Some really great healing at the end. At number 2, we have one you really can't argue, and that's Ghost Rider. I know, shiver. The movie was not good at all. I mean, Nick Cage, I'm gonna stop there. We don't need to rehash it. So Ghost Rider started out as Johnny Blaze, at least in the first one. Johnny Blaze is a stunt motorcyclist and had to sell his soul to a devil named Mephisto to save his surrogate father from dying of cancer. It's complicated. Sadly, he ends up dying anyways, doing a wild stunt involving jumping over 22 cars on a motorcycle. Dad, you're a little crazy. Calm down. Later on, Blaze becomes a Ghost Rider and starts exhibiting things like being able to sense when evil is around, his skin turns into hellfire, giving him that amazing effect of his head becoming a flaming skull. He also rides around on a fiery motorcycle that can travel faster than any conventional vehicle. It can defy usual physics by riding on vertical surfaces, it can jump across huge distances, and even drive across water, so he's kind of like motorcycle Jesus. He also wields blasts of hellfire. That is a supernatural flame that burns the soul of a person, but can also be used to burn their physical body as well. He's virtually indestructible, has superhuman strength, and is notoriously hard to injure because, bullets and knives can just pass right through him. There was a time where a knife went into him and just kind of melted. So pretty great superpowers overall. Now, different versions can do different things, like hellfire breath, or the ability to produce chains from either his throat or chest, and the ability to travel between incorporeal realms. Pretty stacked demon character. Finally, at number 1, we have Spawn. I have to say, this is one that jumped into my mind right away. I still think about that old movie and I wonder if they're ever gonna remake it. 1997, what a year to be alive. He started life out as Albert Simmons, with a salesman as a father and a devil worshipper as a mother. Interesting combination. He goes through life and becomes a highly capable assassin for a US security group. He gets decades of hand-to-hand combat and martial arts training in a ton of disciplinaries. He also is a great marksman and swordsman already. But then he gets backstabbed and murdered and ends up in hell, where he makes a deal with a demon to see his wife just one more time. However, it means he has to become an undead hellspawn. So when he gets back to Earth, he's missing a lot of his memory, he's badly disfigured, but now he has magic powers. But he's also strapped with a monitor, the clown, aka Violator, just to kind of keep an eye on him, you know? He has different powers over the series, but here are a few. He has superhuman strength, durability, speed. It's also worth noting his living symbiotic costume. While wearing it, it's actually bonded to his central nervous system, and it will protect him even if he's unconscious. And it has like skulls and spikes and a shroud and chains, so it's a pretty great whole armored set.